Let's start by making sure people know how to find your campaign. LarryHogan.com, that's it, right?
That's it, LarryHogan.com.
Now, how is the financing, and do you need small dollar donors?
Well, look, this really is a grassroots campaign, Hugh. We've got about 20,000 donors from not just all across Maryland, but across the country. We'd love to have people, if they want to really make a difference. I think, investing whatever you can at LarryHogan.com would help us tremendously.
LarryHogan.com for a small donation, whether it's $3 or $30 or $300, LarryHogan.com. Now, Governor, I don't know much about your opponent. I don't know much about this race because I'm up north and I don't get back to the Beltway until October. What is it being waged over? Because you were like a remarkably popular Republican governor in a deep blue state. What are they mad at you about? They liked you when you were governor.
Well, they still like me, Hugh. It's look, my opponent is trying to make this about just red versus blue, and we're the arguably the bluest state in America, more than 2-to-1, Democrat to Republican. And I was able to overcome that in the off years at the top of the ticket running for governor, pulling off the biggest surprise upset in America in 2014. And then in 2018, I was reelected as only the second Republican ever reelected in 248 years. So it's a tough state. People do. I left office last year with a 77% job approval. Over 70 with every demographic, so that the voters do like me. They thought I did a great job as governor. They wish I was still governor, but they're a little hesitant because of the national politics and their party registration. So my opponent tries to make it all about 51st vote for the MAGA agenda, and I'm out there talking about the issues that people care about their concerns about the economy and crime and the border. And so, we're feeling really good about where we are right now. I mean, a month or so ago, we were polls out saying I was down 11 points. And now I'm, overperforming the top of the ticket by 32 points. We're kind of exactly where we had hoped to be and where we've been in the last couple of races. And, we think we're in great position to pull off this Senate seat that we have not elected a Republican senator since 1980. When I was a chairman of Youth for Reagan, just to put it in perspective.
When you were doing that in 1980, I was chairman of the Youth for Reagan in Massachusetts.
Wow.
And so
I'm sure you were doing a better job than I was. I didn't win the state for
we both
Reagan.
lost our states. All right, we both lost our states. Let me go back and ask you, Governor. I think I misstated that. It's actually 76. I was running Youth for Ford, so I was in it before you were, but we lost the state anyway. Governor,
well, I was in that one too.
Okay. I'm just a basic Midwestern Republican. Rob Portman was my role model. He was my classmate at Michigan Law School. Those were my politics. I love having Susan Collins as a kind of quasi-senator for me because I spend so much time in Maine. You're a moderate Republican. You're a throwback. Is there room in the party for throwbacks like you and me?
Well, I think so. I mean, I'm currently, outperforming the rest of the Republicans by 30-some points. I'm actually outperforming, Donald Trump among Republicans. So I think there at least, I think there's hope that we can potentially get back to a more Reagan-esque big tent party that's fiscally conservative, that's, strong on national defense and standing up, peace through strength, standing up for our allies and standing up to our enemies and caring about things like the deficit. And, I think we're in an unusual time in politics, and we've got a crazy, wild 69 more days to go to see what happens. But I did not want to give up on the party. I think that I've got something to contribute. But also, I've always been a kind of a maverick, and I'm willing to work across the aisle to get things done. And that's how I've been successful in this deep blue state.
And I think the Senate needs more Larry Hogans and Susan Collins. I was sorry to see Rob Portman go. But now I want to play for you, Governor. A big issue in Maryland is, people don't know this, how expensive it is to live there. It's far more expensive to live there than it is in almost any other place in the country. Yesterday, Kamala Harris ran an ad on affordable home ownership. I want to play part of it for you and get your reaction. Cut number 20. This is Vice President Harris on affordable housing.
For most of my childhood, we were renters. My mother saved for well over a decade to buy a home. I was a teenager when that day finally came. and I can remember so well how excited she was. I know what home ownership means. And sadly, right now, it is out of reach for far too many American families. During the foreclosure
All right, stop
crisis,
right there. Governor, I'm astonished they're running on this, but what do you say to that?
I agree with what she's saying, but I mean, they haven't done anything about it, and in fact, have added to the problem. So affordability is the number one issue that we're hearing out there. It shows up on all the polling, which they've obviously seen, but they're not taking responsibility for the terrible economy, for the fact that interest rates are so high, and that housing is not affordable. There are an awful lot of people that are struggling to kind of be first-time home buyers, and it's something the reason I ran for governor is because we were these kinds of issues. But people were struggling, hardworking Maryland families and small business owners and retirees, and we had raised taxes 43 times in a row, and that's why I ran and turned our economy around. I'm the only governor in America to get a Democratic legislature to cut taxes, and we did it 8 years in a row by $4.7 billion. We tripled the amount of affordable housing. We worked to try to all kinds of programs to try to help make it easier for folks, and we try to create more opportunity and create more businesses and more jobs to grow our economy. We took our overall economic performance from 49th out of 50 states to number 6, biggest economic turnaround in America, and that helped all those folks. But she's talking about the issue as if she's not the one in charge. The current administration certainly has a lot of responsibility for the economy we're in, and the fact that interest rates are so high, and that everything is less affordable. People can't afford groceries, they can't afford the cost of energy, they can't afford housing. So she's acting like she's a challenger rather than an incumbent.
She has offered up a publisher's clearinghouse kind of policy, $25,000 for every new home buyer. All that will do is raise new housing costs by $25,000 and repeat the housing crisis of the 2000 aughts. Let me ask you, Governor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
sure. It sounds great to say, hey, we're going to give you $25,000, and I'm sure to some people they go, well, isn't that nice? Without thinking about the consequences, where the money comes from, what it does to it increases the cost of housing, and in addition to that, all of the regulations at the federal, state, and local level already add about 38% of the cost of a home. And so they're making it unaffordable, and then they have another solution that will make it even more unaffordable.
Now, I have two quick questions before you go. The first is, crime is a big issue. I think your opponent is in charge of a county where crime is out of control. Am I correct about that?
Crime in Prince George's County, right outside of Washington, is out of control, rising faster than any jurisdiction. Murders are up 100%. Carjackings are up 500%. In addition to that, she's releasing dangerous criminals who are illegals, refusing. She's the largest jurisdiction refusing to cooperate with ICE. They put a detainer saying this is a violent murderer, rapist, gang member. Hold them. She refuses to and lets them out on the streets.
I just can't believe she's in this race because of that record. But my last question, you are the definition of genial. I like genial people. I try and run a genial show. Does that work in politics anymore, even for Ravens fans? And they're not very genial. I mean, how does geniality work these days?
I think one of the successes for me in this blue state has been people feel as if I'm a regular guy. I try to treat everyone fairly. You can passionately disagree on the issues without demeaning someone or questioning their character or their integrity or their patriotism. And, I think the way you treat people and tone matters. And I think people listen more when you treat them with a little respect.